Hi, Joakim.
Hello.
Hello. Sabaton, you started out in 1999.
Yes.
A long time ago, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But maybe let's go even way further back. What was the first album that you bought being a kid?
Not the first album I bought, but my mother actually bought me Twisted Sister Stay Hungry when I was 3 or 4 years old, because she saw me freaking out in front of the TV when they played We're Not Gonna Take It or I Wanna Rock, the music video for that on Swedish TV. I freaked out totally. She thought I was dying or something. She ran into the living room and then she saw me, and then she thought, that's not bad, actually. So she bought me the LP.
Two things. You were pretty young.
Yep.
And that your mom bought it for you.
Yes.
It must be, so your mom was also really into music then?
She always liked music, but she was never into any special genre.
Okay.
She can go from anywhere to actually heavy metal to, classical music.
Yeah.
But I don't know, she always had a sense of a hit ear, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think, even though she has nothing to do with it, if she was an A&R at a record company, she would be good at picking out the hit songs.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And how old were you? 2 or 3 years ago?
No.
I mean, you were 2 or 3 years?
No, 3 or 4.
3 or 4
Yeah.
years. And after that, did she buy you records on a regular basis, or?
No, I think that was just the one, and then she gave me some other stuff that she liked, and I didn't like many of them at all, actually. Actually, she got me one of my first CDs I got was Peter Gabriel. I didn't like the album at the time, but in later years I've started to appreciate it.
What album was it?
I can't remember. I think that one of the hit songs was Steam on it. It's from the early 90s.
Okay. And why do you like it now?
Well, I do like the change. I mean, in a sense, I got heavy metal, on a diet like this, heavy metal all around me all day. And even though I prefer heavy metal as a music genre, if I get it all day, 200 days a year, it can get tiresome. So I like to have something else to listen to.
And well, you said Peter Gabriel, and you were 3 or 4 years old. You got Twisted Sister.
Yeah.
And what has it always been for you, heavy metal, when you were young? But regarding that, Twisted Sister is some sort of rock, of course.
Yeah, I mean, when I was 6 or 7, my cousins were listening to everything from Europe to actually one of my old favorite albums, Slade, The Amazing Kamikaze Syndrome, and that stuff. And so I've always been going around that area, the classic hard rock, heavy metal stuff, anything from Queen to, quite harder stuff. But I also, I'd say late 90s, I was quite into Prodigy as well, because they had something different that not every other electronic band had, and there was something about it I liked. I don't know if there was a punk or metal vibe in an electronic setting that I liked about it.
What do you think now? I think it has some sort of punk, heavy metal attitude.
Yeah. I saw them live in the late 90s in Sweden, and they had a live guitar player. And I remember when they started the song Voodoo People, which is, kind of an easy riff, but in the beginning they started out with Black Sabbath's Paranoid, which turned into Voodoo People. So I always like that vibe that, whatever they want to do, they do it, no matter if it's a crossover thing. They'd sample old reggae songs and use them in a new setting. So I do admire them from that point of view. It's really cool what they did, or I haven't followed them recently. I'm not gonna say their old stuff is better, because I don't know any of the later stuff, but a lot of cool stuff I've seen.
1999, so around the time you also formed Sabaton.
Yes.
What was the starting point? Why did you decide to form this band?
Well, it's kind of a sad story, actually. It's not really sad, but I was with some friends drinking beer. One of them was the drummer at the time. We were jamming, every school lesson. As soon as the teacher left, we had one of these lazy teachers. He'd go in the beginning, he'd give us an assignment, then he'd leave. Soon as he left, we did our assignment real fucking fast. And then we'd run into the music room and play. So he brought me into the band at that point. They were playing black or death metal covers or something like that. And I just thought that, well, I'll join because I got no other band. And I came in as a keyboard player, not as a singer. Mm-hmm. And a couple of weeks into that, the rest of the band found out, oh, you write songs? And I'm like, yeah, but it's a different style. They liked the songs, and then they said, can you sing the melody so we know where we are? Yeah, sure, I said, but we gotta find a singer. That was 15 years ago, and they still haven't found a fucking singer.
But you said you already wrote your own music. When did you start? When did you start writing your own songs then, and why?
Oh, that was really early. I don't know what it was. I'm one of the, not one of the few, but I'm one of those who got into metal for the music. For me, it was never fame, girls, or beer. I do like girls and beer, but that was not the driving force behind it. Actually, I listened to, you know, anything from Halloween to harder stuff, and I grew up on that music. And even though I started out on an Amiga 500 with my own sampler, I'd started out with electronic music because there were no heavy metal samples I could get a hold of. And then I thought, maybe I can make my own samples. So I'd, you know, take my guitar with a guitar amp and line it in. It sounded like shit, but I made my own samples with a sampler and put it into the music program, which was, you know, it sounds quite advanced these days because it is, but back then it was kind of easy actually. Yeah. And I remember the kick drum I sampled from a friend's old car because his the floor on the driver's seat was so rusty and rotten. So when you actually just hit the floor with your foot, it sounded like a really wet kick drum. So I put a microphone there, sampled that. I didn't even have a driver's license at the time, I was too young. But I sampled that and put some reverb on it, like, oh yeah, this sounds like Wembley Stadium.
That's good. But the first proper song, were they any good? The first song that you wrote?
Actually, I think I got lucky in the beginning, and then it got worse again, because, you know, in the beginning you have a whole life of ideas and expectancies. You know, you can easily translate them into songs, even though you're not, what do you call it, experienced enough as an arranger or a composer. There's still the good idea, and you can hear the good idea into it. The trouble comes when you start writing more and more songs, and you should, you know, you're working against a deadline or something, and that's when I think most people, well, that shows who's a real songwriter or who's a guy who can translate an idea, actually. Yeah. I had a real hard time after the few first lucky shots, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
And when were those lucky shots?
Yeah, I'd say they're on our first album. I guess the song Shadows or Burn Your Crosses or some of these guys. I would have done them differently today, but I'm still proud of them because the basic idea and how they're done is. I was not so stuck in how things were supposed to be done. I just heard something and I did it. On the other hand, when we got the idea we're going to make our first album and not just a demo of 3 songs, and I have to write more, and at that point you can really hear things not being so good anymore, you know.
No,
what I mean?
The thing is, but you well, in 4 years you kicked out 4 albums.
Yeah, but there was a lucky shot because one of them was recorded. You're talking about Primo Victoria, Atero Dominatus, and then Metalizer, and then Art of War. Yeah, that was lucky because Primo Victoria was recorded in 2004, but wasn't released until 2005. Okay. We paid for that with our own money. We didn't have a record label, so we searched for a record label. And we had already recorded an album called The Metalizer in 2001. So what happened was we recorded in 2004 Primo Victoria. In 2006, just before we went on tour, so it's just 1 year after Primo Victoria was released, we got Atero Dominatus out. In 2007, we were still touring, but we, together with our new record label, bought our first album that was recorded in 2001, who was never released. And that one was released then. And then, of course, we were released to Art of War in 2008. So we had so far actually, we had
only 2 new albums too.
Yeah, exactly. Every 2 years, we've been managing to write and compose a new album and then release it. That was just a lucky shot with the release dates.
But how did you learn the craft then? Because you said, well, in the beginning I had some lucky shots, and then it was harder and harder, and also some bad ones. But how did you learn then?
Actually, I don't know. Just doing it and doing it again and doing it again. I was thinking actually both when it comes to the singing and the composing, to take lessons, you know, learn how to sing differently and then compose. But then I thought, no, I've seen so many people who had a good idea, especially with singers, go to a vocal coach and then they come back from that and they're technically good singers, but then they sound like everybody else. So I decided not to, and then I thought maybe it's that way with composing too. So I don't know why I decided against it, but I guess I just did it again and again and again, and I'm not a fast composer. I'll do 30 seconds of music in a day. And then afterwards we got to record it, of course, but that's my pre-productions. But just average of possibly 30 seconds a day.
And then how many songs a year normally? Good songs for you?
Well, I gather ideas. I don't know really. I gather ideas all the time, and I record them. Anything from a phone recording, I sing into it. Okay, drums like this, vocal harmonies like this, and sometimes it plops, gets into your head. And the lucky thing is I've been writing so many Sabaton songs by now that the setting, I'm so used to writing a melody and then hearing the final result that I don't have to sit at a computer and record all the 4-part harmonies and everything to get an idea. You have to get the details, of course, but I could just get a good idea with a piano and then aha. And I'll hear about 80 or 90% of the final result in my head.
But is it then, because you said, well, it was harder at the beginning, or the first time you had some lucky shots, but now you must know for yourself when a song is good.
Yeah, it's easier. On the other hand, it's harder now to find the ideas. You know what I mean? In the beginning, you're full of unique, original ideas. And many of those unique and original ideas turned into what people now expect from us, from Sabaton. And they got their own thing, their own sound. But if I use them again, or those things, we're repeating ourselves too much. So how do you get a new idea that's fresh but still sounds like Sabaton? That is the problem. Once you actually have that idea, finishing the song, or arranging it and orchestrating or whatever it is 10 times easier than it used to be.
Yeah.
But I notice still if I do something outside of that box, it takes me 3 or 4 times as long.